I hated me. I hated me and could not look other people in the eye. I could not tolerate my own reflection in a simple mirror. I knew that they were right to shun me, and so I too tried to shun myself. I had no friends because I did not want to know those who would want to know me. I hated myself deeply and became unconsciously quite self-destructive. I grew bitter and sardonic, caustic and cynical well before my appointed time. I stayed alone just to avoid exposing myself to any normal people. I longed to be simply ordinary and not some monster who frightened children. It was no heroic battle against overwhelming odds, just a mundane pussy deformation that blew up in my face. I hated me as they must have as well, and I tried to let them know. If you tried to like me, I would have to hate you because I could not stand myself. I spent far too much time alone, and it only made me stranger. I grew so knotted up inside, I had to avoid even simple conversations. My face grew long and narrow, and I remained always in the shadows. I lashed out in my frustration, and of course, they all just shook their heads. I could not take me seriously, and thus I could form no plans. I simply ignored the future since I knew there was no place there for me. I sat depressed in the dark over the foolishness of my loneliness and anger. I peeled my silly mind like a very small onion and found no kernel at its center. I did not speak until questioned, then turned red, mumbled, and turned away. I hated me, and it showed in my clothes and voice and hair, my walk and expression. I hated having to hate myself because it seemed so petty and stupidly felt selfish. I hated those who tried to help me because I knew they did it only out of pity. I was devastated by that look of disgusted fear in women's eyes. It seemed I tried with all my energy to simply disappear. I looked too closely within and was nauseated by what I saw. My future ended just after puberty and was replaced by anxiety and self-doubt. It was no noble struggle, no cross was born, and no hard lessons were won. I knew everything I did could only be unimportant and totally absurd. I lost interest in my constant depression and escaped into works of fiction. But I knew enough to never identify with the heroes anymore. The best I could hope for was to be simply ignored and quickly forgotten. I saw everything I did through the twisted prism of the way I looked. I could not feel sorry for myself because I hated that as well. I became quite absorbed by total failure at a very early age. I knew that I was not weak, but it was also very obvious that I was worthless. I kept company with artists, writers, and musicians whom I would never meet. I felt sentenced to a foolish and degrading bit part that I was loath to play. I employed various drugs in a constant vain effort at self-medication. I was shunned and I shunned others and myself in equal measure. I observed myself with disgust and just wanted to crawl away. Everywhere I went in public, I heard the voices screaming, "Freak!" ringing in my ears. I cursed God and bade him strike me down, as I lacked the courage to do it myself. I did what I was told in school without question, comment, or objection. I bitterly rejected the sickening role of the unspeakably disgusting to which I had been assigned. I hated myself for even fantasizing over ordinary relationships. I laughed harshly at my wasted lust as women fled, revolted by my appearance. I hid stoned within a book as much of the time as I could possibly scrounge. I made it so they had to turn over a rock to find me, scuttling away from their light. I grew angry, realizing my stupid hopes to be normal could never come true. I hated myself for the hypocrisy of my own continued existence. I was too ugly to live and too cowardly to simply die, so I just tried to hide. There was never anyone to whom I could reveal my shame and deep despair. I grew defensively contemptuous of the habits and pleasures that were denied me. I sat alone after midnight as the walls closed in and the carpet weave rolled in waves. I hated myself and truly believed it was the only correct and proper thing to do.